welcome into another video. You know it is Tuesday, so that means it is power rankings time. We are getting into the thick of it, folks. 3 games left in the regular season for all 32 NFL teams. We have 11 through 32 laid out for you already, and that means we're going to dive into my top 10. And we got a massive slate. A massive slate. We've got 2 teams in the NFC this upcoming week who will be battling for first place in their division with only 2 games left to go after this following week. You got the Seahawks and the Rams on Thursday night. You got the Bears and the Packers on Saturday night, a couple of primetime matchups. I know the NFL is just licking their chops thinking about it. I'm licking my chops just thinking about it. But let's go ahead and get into what you guys are here for, and that is 1 through 10. Kicking off with number 10, that's the Detroit Lions. And listen, guys, this is a team that's holding on by a thread. Only 34% chance to make the playoffs. But despite all of that, they also have a chance to still win the NFC North. They're still very much alive. They've got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up this upcoming week, Minnesota Vikings after that, and the Chicago Bears in the final week. 3 games, which they are currently all favored in. Issue is, though, 1 loss and they're done. They need to win out. Not going to be an easy task. I mean, I think that they can beat the Steelers. I think they're going to beat the Vikings, but that's still not gimmies. They already lost to the Vikings once earlier this year, and the Steelers are no slouches. I think that Detroit's better, but their offense is still rolling, absolutely rolling. But their defense really struggling. Granted, they've played some very high-powered offenses over the last couple of weeks. The Cowboys and the Rams, 2 of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL this year. And they just couldn't score enough points against the Rams to get the job done. But they had a chance in that game. They fought hard. I still think they're a top 10 team in the NFL, but holding on by a thread there. Number 9, let's go ahead and get into it. We got the Houston Texans, another big win, another double-digit win for Houston. And I think that this team, very quietly, this is very, very sneaky. This team could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm not 100% bought in yet. We'll see how they finish out these last 3 games of the season, but offense is starting to click. Offense is looking the best it has since Stroud's rookie year in 2023. Like, genuinely. Like, they have had, very, very bad offensive woes, especially in 2024, and probably at least through the first halfway of this season, and it was looking bleak. They started 0-3, but outside of the Denver Broncos, this is probably the hottest team in football right now, and they have the league's best defense. Both those units, very, very good defenses. I still just don't know if I fully trust the offense yet. That's why I'm still a little bit hesitant, but this is a very, very sneaky contender to come out of the AFC. I'm not 100% bought in on that, but you never know. You never know. Number 8, we got my Chicago Bears. Their most dominant, relaxing guys. I haven't had a relaxing game all year watching my Chicago Bears. This one I was just able to sit back and enjoy a good win. Their most dominant win of the season. That was probably Caleb's most put together game all year from start to finish. I don't know if I would label it his best game, but just across the board, start to finish, really clean game. He was accurate, moving the ball down the field, had a couple of highlight plays, some insane plays against the Cleveland Browns defense, which is no slouch of a unit. That's for damn sure. That was the number 3 defense in terms of total defense coming into the game. They've got the league's best defender on that side of the ball. He got his licks in. At the end of the day, though, Bears defense really taking the ball away, getting to Shedeur Sanders. Offense was able to move the ball down the field. Looked really good against a good defense. They win against Green Bay. This team's going to be scratching top 5. That's, kind of like we talked about it last time. And they beat the Eagles, and I put them in my top 10. It's kryptonite. Packers are kryptonite. They beat the Packers on Saturday. They're going to be maybe in the top 5, but scratching at the door at least. Number 7, San Francisco 49ers. 4 straight 2-score wins for this unit. Granted, some pretty garbage teams in that mix, but this team's hot, baby. Their offense is rolling. Brock Purdy had a phenomenal day against the Tennessee Titans, and they're doing what they're supposed to do against these bad teams. They're doing exactly what they are supposed to do against these bad teams, and you can't knock them for it. That's kind of what you want. They're going to get into that gritty part of their schedule now. They got the Colts on Monday night, a game I do expect them to win now that Daniel Jones is hurt. Got the Bears after that. That's going to be a very tough test for them. And you got the Seahawks in the final week of the season. But this is exactly what you kind of want. Take advantage of that sweet spot. Get that sweet spot going. Get your offense hot. Get your offense moving. You have the weapons to do so. You got Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. You're making it work with these kind of, second tier wide receivers like Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. You're making it work. And Brock Purdy's playing good football. The defense, despite all of its injuries, is really, really, really buying into solid scheme, and they're keeping teams in check. I think that this team could be a real threat come postseason time. We're going to find out truly what they are, though, over the course of the next 3 weeks. Number 6, the Green Bay Packers. Falling out of my top 5. It was a tough loss to the Denver Broncos, but that wasn't even the worst thing that they went through. Losing Micah Parsons really puts a damper on this team's defense. Thankfully, I was, pretty high on the Packers before they got Micah Parsons. I don't know if I was this high on them, but they've got Jordan Love, who right now is probably having a top 5 quarterback season. And they're still a good defensive unit. I don't know if I have, the Super Bowl faith that I once did just a few weeks ago with this team anymore now that they lost Michael Parsons. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I really had it to begin with just because of how stacked the Rams are. I don't know if anybody in the NFC can truly stack up against that team. But the Packers are one of the teams that were supposed to be right there with them. And that Michael Parsons injury really does hurt their team a lot. I think that's a brutal loss. I know they also got banged up in a few other areas. I'm going to be interesting to see how it plays out for them because they got the Bears, the Ravens, and the Vikings to finish off the season. A big game on Saturday night for them. They lose to the Bears. They fall 2 games behind Chicago in terms of wins, and it could not necessarily be a downward spiral, but not necessarily where you want to be with only 2 weeks left to go in the season. 2 games behind the Bears in the NFC North. Number 5, you got the New England Patriots, and just a collapse, baby. An absolute collapse. I called it last week in my show. I think that the Buffalo Bills and that win over the Cincinnati Bengals was going to be a momentum win. And for the most part of that game in the beginning, I felt like a dumbass because the Patriots were rolling. Here come the Bills. Here come Josh Allen. He has really worked his name into the MVP conversation. He might have surpassed Drake May. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And they just failed to finish that game off. And that was a massive game. Luckily, I do think that the Patriots have done enough up to this point where I still think they're going to win the division. I think they finished the season out 3-0, and I just don't think the Bills are going to be able to catch them. But if they lose to the Ravens, the Bills are right there with them. It'll come down to tiebreakers. They're split. I think the Bills also lost to the Dolphins, so they might have the division record on them there, which would still probably give the Patriots the tiebreaker if they go on to beat the Jets and the Dolphins at the final 2 games of the season. So I do think the Patriots still hold on, but that was a very brutal, tough loss for the New England Patriots when you have a chance to pretty much seal up the division right then and there, and you can't do it. Number 4, the Seattle Seahawks. A little closer than they were probably hoping against Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts, but they prevailed. Jason Myers, MVP, but we really got to kind of talk about Sam Darnold for a little bit here. I'm still very high on the guy. I still think he's a good quarterback. I still think that when things are going right for him, he can make all the throws. He's accurate. He's poised. But over the last 5 weeks, his play is really taking a dip. He's only got 5 touchdowns, 8 turnovers. His completion percentage has drastically changed. Through those first 9 weeks, he was completing around 71% of his passes. Right now, he's barely completing over 60% of his passes. He had 3 80% completion percent games in his first 9. He hasn't even touched 70 in his last 5. So, obviously, some very tough opponents over the last few weeks. I understand why it's taking a dip, but the offense isn't connecting like they once were in the beginning of the season. That's okay, though, because your defense is still an absolute unit, gives you a little grace to figure it out. It's not like, you have a mid-tier defensive unit. It's a top 5 unit. I think the offense will be fine. I think they'll be all right, but damn, man, you couldn't, yeah, Jason Myers MVP, you couldn't really put the Colts away in that one. Number 3, Buffalo Bills, back in my top 5 for the first time in quite a while, and Josh Allen is right there, in my opinion, with Matt Stafford in the MVP race. Over his last 3 games and their last 3 wins, little winning streak here, he's got 9 touchdowns, only 1 turnover. He is balling. He's using his legs. He's using his arm. Some big wins. He has every right to be right there in the mix with Matt Stafford. I'm still leaning Matt Stafford. But this guy's out there throwing to Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakur, Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman. Meanwhile, Matt Stafford's throwing to Puka Nacua, arguably the best wide receiver in football, Devontae Adams. I don't think the talent level is there. That don't matter. I still think Stafford is my MVP. I'm not saying that Stafford's not my MVP. But Josh Allen deserves to be right there in the mix. This team is hot. This team is scary. I think this could be the team to come out of the AFC. I said it in my preseason predictions, Rams versus Bills. And I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. But they still got to overcome my number 2 team in the NFL and the number 1 team in the AFC, and that is the Denver Broncos. A massive win over the Green Bay Packers. You got Bo Nix hot with only 3 games left to go. You got him a night. I mean, that's a good defense. Parsons or not, the Packers have a really good defensive unit, and Bo Nix and Sean Payton were able to figure it out. Bo Nix was making all the throws. It was really good effort, and their defense really came alive in the second half against the Green Bay Packers. Got a couple picks off Jordan Love. It was a really big win for this team. This team just sealed their fate. Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL. I know the Chargers are still right there with them, but I do think I'm at the point in the season now where I think there's levels to this, and I think the Denver Broncos are a tier above the Los Angeles Chargers. This team really could go to the Super Bowl. The AFC is wide open, the most wide open it's been in years. The Chiefs are out of it. The Ravens aren't as good as they once were. The Bills still a very good team, but it's not what it used to be. It is not what it used to be, and the Broncos have a very good chance at making it to the Super Bowl. And number 1 team in the NFL, the Rams, baby, still rolling, no doubt about it whatsoever. Puka Nacua is a freak. Matthew Stafford's a freak. Really good running backs. The defense is still, in my opinion, a very good unit. I know the Lions hung a lot of points on them, but that's just the Lions offense that comes with the game. That's what they're going to do. But really big fan of the Rams. What is this, week 7 now in a row that I've had the Rams at my number 1 team in the NFL? They're so good. Stafford should win the MVP. I already talked about it a little bit, but that is my MVP. Love it. I don't think anybody's – I think I'm at the point now where I don't think anybody's going to stop this team. Like, I think I'm not – I don't want to crown a team too early. Any given Sunday, anything can happen, but I think they win the Super Bowl. I genuinely believe that they win the Super Bowl this year. Matt Stafford gets another ring, rides off into the sunset. Maybe McVay retires. Maybe they draft Fernando Mendoza, trade up because they have the Atlanta Falcons pick, and it's right there in that mix. Who knows? But I do think that this team's going to win the Super Bowl. I don't fear any other team in the NFL like I fear the Los Angeles Rams. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. We'll talk to you guys soon. I'm going to have a head coaches video coming out later in the week. We're going to talk about coaches, I think, who could see themselves on the shopping block come Black Monday. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.